everybody, David G here, founder of the Internet Marketing Party. And I've got a very special guest with me, but you've probably never heard his name. I'm guessing you've heard the name Frank Kern, Dan Kennedy, Eben Pagan. Now, if you go to, on the average, walk to any mall or down any street and you stop somebody and say, have you ever heard of Frank Kern or Dan Kennedy or Eben Pagan, any of these big names? In our internet marketing world, then they're going to look at you like, who? On the other hand, if you stop people on the street and you say, have you ever heard of the George Foreman grill, Sonic Care toothbrush? What are some of the other ones?
GoPro cameras, Miracle Blade knives, smartware, Total Trolley.
Yeah, OxyClean.
OxyClean.
So this man here, Ron Lynch, who's a partner in the company called Cesare Direct, and he's been responsible for over $1 billion worth of sales by being the strategic and marketing director for the types of infomercials that I just told you about. He works with SC Johnson, big name brands that you have heard of, and you might be thinking to yourself, well, what can a guy who's done $1 billion in sales do for you who might be a massage therapist or might be trying to get your info product out to the world? So I asked Ron if he would share with us some insights about, before the internet, which he was advertising and making all this, having all the success before before Al Gore invented the internet.
Right.
He was advertising places other than Google. So,
right.
Ron, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be coming to the Internet Marketing Party and meet all these people. I'm sure I'm going to learn as much as anybody else there. Because I have lots to learn. That's one of the things. I get up every day and there's a lot to know out there. And I learn something from everybody every day.
Yeah. Well, thanks. So you're going to be speaking at our South by Southwest Internet Marketing Party. So we'll be hosting it in Austin at Haven Lounge on Monday, March the 11th. Great. And so what are we going to give folks, our audience, that they can take away?
I think the important thing that even though you say, hey, we've worked with all these big brands, a lot of companies that we started with and a lot of businesses that I've been involved with have been very grassroots. They've been going after that very first customer and selling that very first unit, like many of the folks at the Internet Marketing Party are. The George Foreman Grill didn't start out as a huge product. We had to make that a huge product. Backjoy is a great example of that. I have a background in orthotics. I do a lot of medical device work and a lot in the medical world. And when things are invented, you have no customer. You have to go find the first customer, the second customer, and build from there. So I think that the important thing that I like to share with folks is that you get into business and you're thinking about your business and sharing your business with people. They're not interested in your business. They're interested in their lives. So you have to reverse engineer everything you do and have it start with the customer. You have to have them start with the end user and what the benefit is you bring to them, and ask the right questions that lead them, that give them the breadcrumbs that lead to your solution for your business. You mentioned a little earlier about radio. Radio is something that a lot of people ignore or don't think about.
And there's value there right now, because if everybody's zigging and you zag, boom.
Yeah, the radio is an extremely responsive place to find new customers or to grow a business, and it's a relatively low-cost way to test messaging to a pretty large market, and particularly for internet folks, because URL drivers are a big portion of radio advertising, and radio stations will allow you to get in there and talk to a localized market and test and get that first customer, get that second customer, and test messaging to see what people respond to.
Makes sense, makes sense. So are there a couple of pointers you can give folks right now who might have a product or service? At what point, when is it the right time to test some radio? Can you give us some real basic guidelines of what's the least you could spend on radio to get?
I think for $1,000 you could put something on a local market radio station and get multiple airings of that to get some response and to get some action, some traction on your website, or even a phone call if that's what your particular business required. I think the core thing, though, is to sit down with your business and go, what is the problem that we tried to solve with our business? What's the problem? What's the solution that we offer? And why is that solution unique when compared to our competitors? And finding that unique sales proposition, and then ask the customer the right question.
All right. So we talked yesterday a little bit about how many people you've got a brilliant genius marketing mind. You can't not think the way you do because you've been doing it for so long.
Well, that's kind.
What for the average person, I think they don't know how to really pinpoint what's unique about their product. Could you?
Well, one of the
share-
things at the Internet Marketing Party, I will go through and I'll show you what my presentation is kind of called how to make $1 million the ethical way in advertising. And because there's a lot of people out there that do it the unethical way, and it's actually easier to make money being ethical than it is unethical.
Some of you pay attention.
And
You know who you are.
I'll be happy to we'll pull a couple people up and we'll walk through this process with them, and they'll see for themselves how to look at their business more like looking at the forest than the trees that they're standing in. That's really kind of one of the strategies we offer, is to step away from what you're doing far enough. And I think that something that people could do between now and the time the Internet Market Party gets together is to go and have a third party, someone who isn't necessarily connected to your business, maybe a friend, who's willing to interview 6 or 7 people that you do business with and find out why they did business with you, why they will again, or why they won't again, and get some true, raw feedback about where you are and what you're doing. Because if as the business owner, you walk up to your friends or people that you do business with and go, hey, how do you think I'm doing? They'll all say you're great, because people don't want to give you negative feedback. But negative feedback is the only thing that's going to make you move into new areas and grow and stretch and get better.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So, and the name of your talk, what you'll be teaching and showing folks at the Internet Marketing Party, is how to make $1 million in advertising the ethical way. So I think a lot of folks online at the Internet Marketing Party don't necessarily think of it as advertising, because they think, oh, well, I'll just put my product out there, like to build it and they will come kind of thing. You talk in your book, Buy Now, about, there's this one, do you remember it by heart? Yeah. It's a nice regular business book, and about this thick. We should have had a copy of it.
That's all right. We'll bring one.
We'll bring. Can you bring a couple for folks?
Absolutely.
All right. So the first 10 people that leave a comment on this video will get a book.
Great. Yeah, happy to.
All right. So there's, out of the entire book, there's a part where he says, tear this quote out of the book, and it's big, bold. It says, put it at the top of your computer screen and read it. And then read it again, and then read it again. And I love that, because it's in the chapter, The Offer is King.
You're offering to the consumer. Make your initial offering that you go out with the best, in the consumer's best interest, not the company's best interest. What you want to do when you go out and start testing new advertising messages is you want to make sure that you're getting response. And people are very reluctant to, as a business, you business owners, you're thinking, well, I need to know what makes me money. So I want to go out there and make an offer that I know at least makes me money in my advertising. Forget about that. You want communications. You want connection to people. So go make them an offer that makes them reach out to you and engage with you. And don't be so concerned about money right up front. If you have a legitimate product and you do a good job, the money will come. Give the consumer the best offer. And that's really something that I have to teach to the largest corporations in the world, because everybody's concerned about ROI and exactly what ROI means. Well, if you make a bad offer, you may not have good communications. You may not build a relationship.
Right.
But at the same time, you might have had great communications, and it was the offer that made them not call. You want them to call. You want them to connect. You want them to go to your website. You want them to go to your URL. So just give them the best offer you can to create that flow.
And I like the way you also talk about how it gives your entire team a lift, so that even if it's a small sale, it's a win. It's just base hits.
Yeah. It's. I mean, the World Series is not built out of winning, one home run. It's a lot. It's a lot of hits. It's a lot of runs. It's a lot of plays. It's a lot of innings to really win a championship.
Right.
And a business is the same way. You don't want to go, hey, we're launching a new campaign in some field, and fail on the offer. Right. It's very demoralizing to folks. But if you launch a new campaign, you want to see traction. You want to see communication.
Right. Yeah, and one of the things that I've noticed, because we've been building a real friendship over the last several months, introducing you to folks,
Sure.
I mean, we spent New Year's Eve together, and as I'm introducing you to folks in the business world, as the conversation always moves over to, their business or they're asking you about business, I've noticed that you always pinpoint. I mean, it happened a little while ago while I was telling you about someone who wants to do a joint venture with me. I was thinking the what and the how, and you went the who.
Who are we selling to, and what's the value in the person we're selling to?
And I
care about the market.
I've seen him do this about 6 times. So my point in saying this is that it's so obvious that it's counterintuitive. Like what you do, it's like hiding a forest in the. I mean,
yeah, it's really simple actually. It's really when you see it happen, you're like, "What? Oh, God, he's just taught something that was so simple." It's thinking about the customer first, putting the customer's shoes on, and going, "Okay, who is that customer, and what is appealing about this to them?"
Right, right.
And if there isn't a customer, by the way, get out of that business.
Right.
Don't be so in love with what you created because you created it and your ego's tied to it.
Right.
I've had 20 businesses.
So
12 have failed.
So
the 8 that worked were great, though.
So let's take that. Let's take the idea of who's your customer. And right now, I guarantee you, because I've been doing the hosting the internet marketing party for 4 years. My customer, you listening right now, you want 2 things. You want traffic, and you want more people to buy from your website when they land on your website. So what are 2 things that you can assure them that if you come to the party on Monday, March the 11th, they're going to either learn how to get more traffic to their website or more people to buy?
I'm going to help you break down what your segmentation is, or teach you how to break down your segmentation so that your advertising dollars aren't wasted on huge messages to huge audiences. You want to take your money and your messaging and focus it very directly to a very specific funnel of business, and do that multiple times. We do that in campaigns all the time. GoPro cameras is an excellent example. I have 15 GoPro camera commercials on the air, but the one that's on the Speed Network is not the one that's on Skiing Network. It's not the one that's on Lifetime Network. They're all very specific, and I'm going to help you find out how to penetrate those audiences with messaging, and that's what gives you ROI. That's why you advertise in a channel.
That's really key, because, and for those of you listening that are in the digital information product business, that goes for who you should do joint ventures with, and how to change your messaging and your offer according to who you're doing the JV with. And secondly, what came to mind as you described that is that it's not, you know, a lot of internet marketers get into the space because they bought some sort of info product that taught them how they could make money at home, online, in the comfort of their bedroom, in pajamas. And, you know, so everybody's looking for the easy way. I think what you're really going to tell them is they've got to go that extra mile.
You got to get serious about being in business. And being serious about being in business means you have to know who you're selling to. You have to know the field you're playing in, but inside that field there's different players you're playing to,
right?
And you have to know what they each specifically need to hear, and you need to know how to tie all of that together, so if they should bump into you in a different channel, they still know it's you. So there should be some familiarity in your advertising or in your marketing if it's on the internet. And you know, we do a ton of internet marketing now. We never did 15 years ago, but even in my industry, you think I'm in the TV commercial business, 60 to 70% of my sales are on the internet now. That's where our response is. People don't want to be on the phone being sold necessarily, so they go to the web, and that's where a great deal of our monetization happens.
Well, it's like a lot of the big famous internet marketing gurus. They get known for one thing, and even if they're now making their money in other places, they're still known for that one thing. So you're still known as the infomercial guy, but you're now doing over 60% of your business online.
Yep.
So, so that's why you're really wanting to come, and you're like, I don't know who's going to learn more.
Exactly.
So please come to the party, because I know that it's going to be a true win-win, a mixing of cultures. You'll get to really interact and get to know Ron, and he'll want to be asking you questions too. So unlike a lot of the folks that we have put on our stage before who came as the expert that were talking to you, he's coming as the expert that wants to learn your expertise. So and that creates just an absolute win-win.
I think it's going to be great.
With both people are equally excited about meeting each other.
Yeah.
Magic is created. As a super connector, I know that to be true. So
thanks,
man. Ron.
Thank you, David.
Yeah. Look forward to it. See everybody Monday, March the 11th in Austin, Texas at Haven. Party gets started at 7 p.m.
There'll be cocktails. There'll be water.
This will be the first dry party.
So it'll be
water.
powered by the water you breathe, fueled by the air you drink.
There you go. That's an inside joke you'll learn at the party. So I want to real quick, give a acknowledgement to Brad Costanzo, who introduced us.
Yes.
And as well as Adam Lyons of AFC Pictures, who was with us and said, "Hey, we can use my camera." So if you notice a little bit difference in the
ambiance,
in the ambiance and the picture quality, because you were using Adam's gear. So anyway, we'll see everybody at the party.
Look forward to it. March
And
11th.
I was just kidding. There will be cocktails at the party. And
I'll come without cocktails. It's all right.
See you at the party.